Hello everyone, we'll do today the second halacha in Gozez, shearing wool. So we'll switch now from animals, which is the normal way that the malacha was done in the Mishkan, to human bodies and whatever is attached to them. So just as one may not shear an animal's wool, so too one may not remove anything growing from the human body, such as hairs, nails, loose skin, and warts. One who removes them in the usual fashion transgresses a Torah prohibition, while one who removes them with a shinui transgresses a rabbinic prohibition. And we saw yesterday that Mimkom Tzorach mitzvah, like going to the mikvah for a woman, then we can do it with a shinui, and that is patur because the mitzvah of tevilah bizmana and chatzitza, separating the parts of the body from the water, from touching the waters, that's why it is allowed. Therefore, one who cuts their nails using a nail scissors or clippers transgresses a Torah prohibition, while one who pulls them off with their teeth transgresses a rabbinic prohibition. So that's in the Rambam. One should make every effort to stop biting his nails entirely. Apart from being impolite, a habitual nail biter is likely to bite their nails on Shabbat as well, thus violating Shabbat. And just before we continue, there was a discussion already in the Gemara between the Tanaim, the Mishnah, and then the Amoraim about is the prohibition only when you need the stuff that you're cutting? So for wool from a sheep, it will be very obvious that you're taking the hair off of the sheep, the wool off of the sheep, in order to use them for making strings or threads and weaving and knitting, etc. But most people, when they cut their nails or their hair, it's a different discussion actually in Chelek Or Chaim Shulchan Aruch, that it says that Hasorfan Chasid, somebody who burns the nails or the hair, is a Chasid, which means that's the right way to get rid of it, and therefore it is very obvious that we're not going to use this hair. I think when women have longer hair and then they take them off in order to make a wig, either by donation or not, then it's very obvious that you do need the hair that's being cut. So just to keep that in mind, because most of us, when we bite off nails or cut nails or hair, we don't want to use what we are doing with it. So similarly, one may not remove warts. If the wart is wet, meaning fresh, cutting it with an instrument is a Torah prohibition, while removing it with a shinui via teeth or hands is a rabbinic transgression. If the wart is dried out and liable to fall off on its own, then even removing it with an instrument is only a rabbinic transgression. And therefore, dandruff and all kinds of other stuff is allowed too, because it's not really connected. And the fear was that that we will pull out hairs on Shabbat and nails, and so amazingly enough, it's also discussed in the laws of Nazir. Is he allowed to put his fingers through his beard or through his hair, even though there might be a chance that a few hairs will fall out? According to Halacha, in terms of Shabbat, it's even if it's one nail but two hairs. That's discussed in the Rambam. And so let's continue with scraping. One may not scrape the body to remove skin that has begun to peel or scab. One may not even use one's teeth to remove the skin from their chapped lips. However, one may remove dandruff since it is only very loosely attached to the skin and it falls out readily. If a nail was torn off most of the way and is now painful, it may be removed using one's hands or one's teeth. Since most of it has already been torn off, it is viewed as if it has already fallen off, and the prohibition on finishing the job is only rabbinic, especially when there's also pain. The sages permit removing the nail with a shinui if it is causing pain, and that's why we're lenient. One may not scratch a cut in a way that will make it bleed, because doing so constitutes chovel, which is later on in the same category of getting stuff from animals. Even though one who scratches is not interested in drawing blood, it is still rabbinically prohibited, mostly because of psik reisha, what we talked about, that this will for sure, or almost for sure, happen, and even though you don't want the result, that will be the result. Similarly, one may not brush their teeth if it is almost certain that their gums will bleed. One also may not knowingly suck the blood out of his gums after brushing them to the point that they bleed, as this constitutes chovel. One may remove a splinter logged into a person's flesh as long as one is careful not to draw blood. If the splinter is painful, one may remove it even if it will certainly cause bleeding. This is because drawing blood in this situation is rabbinically prohibited, because again, we don't need the blood that is being drawn. It's not a blood donation or a blood transfusion, and the sages did not extend their prohibition to cases that entail such pain. Last, one may remove a scab from a wound that has dried and will not bleed upon the scab's removal, but again, this should be done by hand, not by a special instrument. This does not qualify as gozez, since scabs do not grow from the body, but rather are just dried blood from a wound. And so, just one more reference from the Mishnah Berurah. Unfortunately, Sephara doesn't have the Mishnah Berurah in English, so he differentiates between tearing hair or skin from a live animal or person, or dead. So tolesh min achai patur, somebody who pulls these hairs or skin from a live animal, patur, because endech litlosh mishum dekayevle, because it's causing the animal pain. So with birds, yes, but there were no birds in the Melechet HaMishkan, so we're only talking about domesticated four-legged animals. But you're not allowed to pull a hair or skin from a live animal, because it will cause pain, and that's tzar b'alechaim. Erad Gozez, so only to cut with an instrument like scissors or shearing scissors, I think they're called. So if somebody pulls hair or skin from a dead animal, there's no real difference between pulling as opposed to cutting, and therefore it's chayav. And so this is maybe very practical. So therefore, people who who are wearing fur coats or other kinds of these skins that have on top of them hair, they're supposed to be careful not to pull the hairs from these fur coats or shtreimels, and so just thought that would be very interesting to add that, because it's not mentioned in the Rambam, it's not mentioned even in the Shulchan Aruch. I don't know, maybe they never wore such things before, but in the Torah, Esau did wear clothing that had with skins of animals with hair, because that's why Rivka changed it to be the other kinds of goat hair on top of on his arms and arms, and I think only arms. Anyway, so that's Melechet Gozez, and we'll continue tomorrow with the next halacha of this chapter.